Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 22 of Project Ozone 3. As promised, I crafted the various seeds we need, with the exception of our tier 4 seeds, off camera, and I think we're ready to jump right into Astral Sorcery today. So, first step in Astral Sorcery is to craft the Astro Tome, and we'll do that. But before we really do anything else in Astral Sorcery, I want to take these seeds and do something with them. These seeds right now can be planted on regular, tilled dirt. So if we come over here, lots of plus popping. Let's till this dirt. We can plant it here. The thing is, it grows very slowly when planted like that. So in this pack, we have AgriCraft, which is a way that we can make plants grow a lot faster. And I set up a little thing here. It's instead of describing it, let me show you. The way AgriCraft seeds work is that you have to plant them on these crop sticks. So there's, let's grab a handful of them to show you. Crop sticks are just made out of treated sticks in this 2x2 pattern. So, one treated stick becomes one crop stick. And when you right click, let's get rid of some of these for now. When you right click the plant into a crop stick, it just grows there like normal. Now, what's unique about crop sticks is that when you, let's see what it's done, you right click it once to harvest. And if you place double crop sticks, so if you shift right click, you place like this double crop stick, whereas if you just normal right click, you place a single. If you place double crop sticks next to it, this plant can spread to here. And in fact, I expect it will do so reasonably soon. Let's give it a second. Come on, don't make me a liar. Please? There we go. So when the plant spreads, not only do I now have two plants, which naturally means, they can both be growing, this plant can have better stats than that one. So let me, let's pick up the first plant and I'll show you the stats. We have a seed analyzer here. And what you can do is put the seed into the seed analyzer and it'll, after 5-ish seconds tell you the stats of the seed. And you see their growth, gain, strength are all 1. That's all seeds I think that you craft start at 1. And they go up to 10. So growth is how quickly the plant grows, the likelihood that on a growth tick, like on a random growth tick, that it gains a growth stage. Gain is, I think, how much growth it gets on each growth stage. And strength is resilience to weeds, I believe. But since weeds are disabled in this pack, I actually don't know if strength does anything. So anyways, we can see that the plant is now spread a couple times. And if we, so we started at 111. And this fourth plant up the line should now be a little better than 111. 111 is just nomenclature for the 3 stats. So yeah, this is now 331. Our goal is to get it up to 10, 10, 10, 10 in all the stats. So these are trash. If we just let this spread all the way around, go through the serpentine, by the time it gets to the end, I expect it will be 10, 10, 10. So what I'm going to do is, whenever I make a new mystical agriculture seed, I'm going to plant one of them, at the end of each of these 2 snakes, and just let it serpentine around. And when it gets to the end, we can pick up the final result and see how we did. So just to kind of highlight the difference in power between 111 and 10, 10, 10, let me grab some of these regular, wheat seeds that we have, and I'll go plant them over here just so that we can see how good it is when there's basically no growth boosters. So we'll compare, let's see, we'll compare regular wheat seeds to full boosted wheat seeds. So this one is regular, and this one is max growth. Maybe without growth boosters, it'll still take literally minutes. Let's grab 1 growth crystal. Do I not have any? Let's repurpose a growth crystal. 1 second. Alright, so the two seeds are basically at the same stage. It's this one and that one. Let's place our growth crystal just to give it a growth boost. And we should observe that the one that can grow quickly will grow a lot more, or the one with better stats will grow a lot more quickly. Maybe one growth crystal is enough. Let's put the second one down. The magic of these growth crystals is that they stack with themselves, which is pretty busted. That's actually a large part of the reason why that farm over there works so quickly. It stacks a bunch of growth modifiers. Why is it so dark? Is it too dark? Come on, plants. Don't make me look like an idiot here. Anyways, the trouble with plants normally, right, is that when you plant them, they take so long to grow. And that's just kind of how plants work. Plants take a long time. But by stacking a bunch of growth modifiers, we're able to make them grow much more quickly. So here I only have, a couple of these growth crystals. Still hasn't grown. Jeez. All right. We'll check back on him later. But here, not only do I have, all these growth crystals, minus the two that I just borrowed, I also have all of these sprinklers. And sprinklers and these lily pads of fertility. What all of these things do is they all provide an increased chance for plants in the area to receive a growth tick, and by having a lot of them, they just increase the chance greatly. So instead of having to wait maybe a couple minutes for a plant to grow, it'll do it in a couple seconds, and that I think is the key to making farming work for you. Make it very efficient in this pack. So yeah, these Agricraft sprinklers are actually a significant portion of the growth ticks. So I think not having any of them over in our little test area might be affecting it. But let's see if it's grown any yet. Well, now they're both done. This is what I get for walking away. But anyways, we can show another stat. Maybe that's what strength is. So when we harvest this plant, we get a lot. We get 10 wheat from it. Whereas when we harvest the other one, I'm expecting only a couple. Only 3. And one of the stats affects that. Maybe gain, maybe strength. I'm honestly not sure. But we can see that the one with high growth is growing. I mean, it's growing slightly faster. It grew slightly faster, but I guess the big difference then is that the plant with better stats, when you harvest it, you get a lot more per harvest, and that's where your value comes from. Cool. Anyways, I'm gonna put these growth crystals back with the main farm, and we can just let these plants do their thing, and move on to Astral Sorcery. So before we can really dive into Astral Sorcery, we need to collect a lot of rock crystals. Thankfully, we've seen a lot of this ore, and it's also, we can later plant it. But I think I saw a lot of it in Landia, so I'm going to go get some. While we're here in Landia, we can observe that our quarry appears to be done. It's not mining anything, and outside the areas that are chunk loaded, you can see all the trees have been turned into dirt. And because it wasn't chunk loaded, the grass hasn't had a chance to spread to it yet. I expected, no, maybe I would have expected it to go even further. Either way, I'm pretty sure this quarry is done, and yeah, when we get back to our base, we can check here, right? Yeah, we have all of these. Here, let's see. Yeah, we have a lot more of these landcraft ores, a couple thousand. And each one of these ores is 2 ingots, right? So we have, basically 4,000 more Friscon ingots that we can use later. So anyways, let's go find some of that rock crystal ore. Alright, right here. So this is the stuff. The reason why I haven't mined it before was that when you break it, you don't get the ore, you actually just get like the rock crystals. And when you break it with a fortune pickaxe like I have, you get a lot of them. So let's see how many we get from this one vein. It's like, I don't know, 5, 6 ores. That was a lot more than 5 or 6 ores. But yeah, you see we got over an inventory full. So that's why I brought this modular storage. It holds up to 300 items, and retains its inventory when broken. So, we can use it to transport these non-stacking rock crystals. So I'm going to go dig up a couple veins of these, get a couple hundred, We don't necessarily need the full 300, but I'm going to get a fair number just so we can get started. Alright, we're back in the overworld, and I have some number of rock crystals, but I noticed our crops were done growing, so let's come to the end and just confirm that these are indeed 10, 10, 10 seeds. Now technically you can cheat by checking in the MBD data. You see there it is, 10 in each of the stats, but we can put it in the analyzer anyways. So once we have them at max stats, all I'm doing for now is tucking them away for later. Later, we need to set up an actual farm for these, right? All this does is grow the seeds, but we need something that also harvests them. And I have a plan for that, but I'm not quite ready to reveal it yet. So I'm just going to set this up for the next type of seed, and then we can move on to Astral Sorcery. Now that we've gathered our basic resources in Astral Sorcery, it's time to start crafting. The level 1 crafting table is a luminous crafting table, which I think we can just craft it out of a vanilla style crafting interface. So the luminous crafting table, when we place it down, you'll see that it has this bar, and this is like the Starlight energy bar. So Astral Sorcery, it's based on using like the power of the stars to craft. And right now during the day, the power of the stars is pretty limited. So let's see about making it night. Let's see. So there's a blood magic ritual. Whoops, wrong one. Imperfect ritual stone. That can turn it from day to night. And I believe that requires a block of lapis. So the way this works is you just take an imperfect ritual stone, place a lapis block above it. That's not above it. Above it, and you right-click the imperfect ritual stone, and voila, it's nighttime. We can observe at nighttime there's more starlight energy. Sweet. So that'll, well, I guess I need this for now. That'll allow us to do, I'm really bad at clicking. That'll allow us to do our, some crafting anyways. So the next thing we want to locate is a star field, and that requires a Phosic resonator. There. This is the recipe we want. I guess before that, then we need to get liquid starlight. That's made in a light well. Let's see where that is in the quest book. So yeah, a light well can melt stuff down into liquid starlight. So let's make one of those. So to craft in the luminous crafting table, you need to first put the ingredients in, wait for there to be enough starlight, and click it with the resonating wand. Maybe there's not enough starlight. The bar's full. Let me try something. So if you find yourself a little bit short on light energy, come to Landia, I believe, where you can find these like Astral Sorcery structures. In them, there'll be a floating crystal, and just put your crafting table underneath it, and it'll receive light from the crystal, so it gets a boost in like light energy, and that should allow us to craft. What am I doing wrong? I think I got it. So before I'm allowed to actually craft stuff, I need to like discover the constellations. Let's see. So there are 5 major constellations, and by picking up constellation paper, which comes from loot bags or you can craft them, but mostly they come from common loot bags. They also come as like they spawn in world. I expect we should unlock a second tab in here. Oh, how do I get that second tab? Because I don't have like the appropriate research unlocked, is why it's not letting me craft it, but I'm not quite sure what I have to do to unlock the tab. I thought just picking up this table was enough. Let me try something else. I think I know what it is for real. Alright, I think I'm missing the advancement that you get when you craft a luminous crafting table the regular way. So to do so, you need a regular crafting table, and you want to put it underneath the floating crystal because it says, plus starlight required. And that There we go. Yeah, so that gives me, you see that in the text box. You learn about exploration. And I think that's what I was missing. So now if we look in our book, we have this extra tab, which includes the light well, which is why I should now be able to craft it. And when you click, you get this humming sound, and a couple seconds later, you should get a light well. So I'm going to make a handful of these because I know we're going to need more than one, and I'll meet you back in the overworld. So the light wells are pretty easy to use. You just place them, ideally you have something that can withdraw the fluid from them, and you right click on it with a rock crystal or a like aquamarine, and it just slowly turns the, you see there, it'll turn that rock crystal into liquid starlight. So if we come here, we can pull. I think it only sends fluid out the bottom. So it also does it more efficiently at night. So if we look at about like 1 to 2 millibuckets of starlight per update, make it nighttime, it's 2 to 3. So it's about double the efficiency at night. Anyways, we need 1 bucket of this. So let's get a bucket. And then we can craft our, what was it, like the starfield locator thing. So the Phosic resonator will help us locate, I guess, areas that are just, innately high in star energy. So if we hold it in our offhand and fly around, we're looking for bluish colored clouds on the ground, I think. And they spawn on like the highest Y level exposed to the sky. So in void worlds, you usually want to check, all the way down in the void. And let's see if I can find one to show you what it looks like. Our Y level is just about 0. They're reasonably common. Maybe they have to be in your main hand to see. They're reasonably common, so I don't expect it'll take too long to find one. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Alright, I found a field. I think it's because I have Optifine installed that the graphic is pretty messed up. Like, it's normally a lot darker than this. If you look very carefully, you can kind of see there's like blueness floating around. That's what you're looking for. So there's one here, which is a little suboptimal because I don't really want to build here. I'm going to look around a bit on our platform, and maybe I'll restart my game without Optifine to see if, you know what, let's do that. I'm going to restart my game without Optifine to see if we can spot these fields a little better. Alright, well, one game restart later, it's still looking like this, and as you can see, there's no Optifine. So, I guess that's just how it is nowadays. I don't know if there's a mod interaction causing it to look so wimpy, but I guess I'm gonna have to fly around the void a little bit, try to find another star field that's a little bit brighter than that one. I think that one might also be a particularly dim star field, which means it's not very useful. I wonder if it's easier if I fly below Y0 and look up. Well, nonetheless, I am going to spend a little time looking for one, and I'll be back when and if I find something. Alright, here's one you can barely see as well over the void, and I think this isn't a convenient place to build, so let's build our astral sorcery structures over here. Now, I think you get slightly more starlight if you build it at a high Y level. The difference is slight, to the point where it probably doesn't matter. In fact, I know it doesn't matter, but I've always, as a result, built my astral sorcery stuff at like Y level 200, and I see no reason to change that now. So I'm going to build us a little platform here that we can work off of. So the field looks to be a little bit more visible at a high Y level too, which I guess is good. Anyways, I built out this 2x2 chunk platform. You can see our main base down there, and we're going to build our astral sorcery stuff mostly up here. Now, it's a little far away from the base, so I'd like to also build an easier way to get up and down. And I think for that, we'll just use waystones, which is a simple teleportation network. So by placing a waystone up here, and there's one down there in the base somewhere, we can teleport to it. And ignore the other one where the top secret project that's not ready yet. So here we have it, an area to build. Next thing I want to do, let's actually check the quests. Yep, so next thing we want to do is get to the next tier crafting altar. So that doesn't look too bad. I'm going to bring all of our astral sorcery stuff, like that light well and stuff, up to here, and then we can do some crafting. Upgrading our luminous crafting table to a starlight crafting altar. Simple as just crafting it. Now, quick tip, when you do astral sorcery, it has a bunch of different types of marble. While they all have crafting recipes, like you can, craft them like so, I prefer to just use a chisel and chisel between the, various types. They're all fully interchangeable. So anyways, once this is done, our luminous crafting table should become our starlight crafting altar, and you see we get another little thing there, which means we get more stuff we can do in our book. But we're not going to do any of that yet. The starlight crafting altar you see here now has a red bar. What that means is that it doesn't have the appropriate multi-block. So I assume it's in, probably not in there. Probably in here. Let's see, starlight crafting altar. It requires this multi-block to be built around it, taking those materials for it to work. So let's build it. Something that I believe is rather new to astral sorcery that can help you build these multi-blocks is the sextant. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually place the blocks for you, but it'll tell you, where the blocks go and where you have the wrong block, which is a nice feature, one that's long overdue. Alright, and when our structure is done, you'll notice the previously red bar is now this starlight color. So we can make it nighttime again, and we can see it's completely full. And that's probably a side effect of building in or very near to the star field, which we can barely see still. So technically, the Starlight Crafting Altar is all we need to craft these tier 4 seeds. They're made in the Starlight Crafting Altar, and it has enough starlight. But I actually was looking at something. We're actually pretty close to being able to make the ME controller. Now that we have mystical agriculture, we can make these, inscriber presses, right? They're not that bad a recipe. The Certus Quartz seed is kind of annoying to make because it requires a maxed crystalline seed, which means we have to go through a lot of vanilla agricraft crop mutating. But that's, something we have to do sooner or later anyways, and we have all the tech for it. It's just a little bit of grunt work. Maybe a lot bit of grunt work. But anyways, so instead of just making our tier 4 seeds, let's go a little bit further and make our crystal cluster, which requires the iridescent altar, which is the next tier, or is it's 2 tiers up altar. So upgrading from the Starlight Crafting altar to the Celestial altar is the same process, just uses a bit more stuff. So let's do it. So we can start crafting the, what's it called? Celestial altar. Just like before, when it's done, we'll have to upgrade our multi-block. The diagram's in the book, but yeah, that puts us one step closer to our ME controller. The last thing we have to do is upgrade the Celestial altar to an iridescent altar, but that's going to take a few more steps. Resonating gems have to be made in the Starlight infusers, so we have to make one of those, and it's multi-block, and actually it looks like that's it. That's not true. We also have to start making celestial crystals. Alright, so once this is done, let's work on the celestial or the Starlight infuser, and then we'll do celestial crystals. So after upgrading our multi-block, you can see it's significantly bigger now. We can craft our Starlight infuser. The Starlight infuser itself will also require its own multi-block. Again, it's a marble structure, so it doesn't really take any resources. It just requires a little bit of building. But let's see, what I was going to say. So you notice how we now no longer have full starlight power on our celestial altar. Just building within the star field isn't enough to max it out. So if we run into any recipes that require full power, we'll have to soup up our setup a little bit. But I think we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So let's put this, we can just put it right here, I think. And I think if I hit it with this, that'll show, yep, it'll show us the multi-block that it needs. The Starlight Infuser is a pretty simple mechanic. You put the thing you want to infuse on the altar, you right-click it with your stick, and then a couple seconds later, it's, it becomes the infused version. Now, there's one little gotcha with this, is that if you look here, every now and then, maybe about 50% of the time actually, the infusion process will consume one of the buckets of liquid Starlight that has to then be replaced before you can do another infusion. So that makes this process a little bit tedious for now, but you saw there it ate up that one. So it's a little bit tedious for now because of all the manual steps involved, but we can improve this later. For now, we just have to craft a couple of these gems so that we can make our altars, the iridescent altar. So the other component we need in the iridescent altar are these celestial crystals. Those are made by tossing a rock crystal and a piece of stardust into a puddle of liquid starlight and letting it sit there for a while. By a while, I mean probably about half an hour. So I probably should have started this process sooner, but here I am. So rock crystals and celestial crystals have stats. When you use them as a crafting component, in the vast majority of cases, the stats don't matter. In which case, you can use any one, or you can use ones with crappy stats. Whoopsies, did I pick something up? I stole a crystal from somewhere. This one. Come on, go in the hole. Anyways, but when using them for rituals or attunement, the stats do matter. In that case, it's very important that especially when making celestial crystals, you want to end up with a few very high statted ones. So after sitting in the puddle for a couple seconds, or about a minute, they become these celestial crystal clusters, and the clusters have to grow a couple stages before they can be harvested. So anyways, some of these don't have stuff in them. Whatever, I'll fill these out. And yeah, so once they become this blue crystal, let's see. Maybe we can see it in JEI. So celestial crystal clusters, yeah, there's I don't know, like 5 states of them. You have to wait till they're at this maximum growth state before you mine them. So I'm going to let these all form up, and we'll be back when they're done. It'll take about half an hour, so I'll just kill some time in the meantime. So while we wait on our crystal growth, and it looks like a few are actually getting close, you can check their stage by hitting F3, look on the right there, and check the metadata. I think 4 is done. 0 is just started, So anyways, we have some at 2, which is halfway. So anyways, while that works, I set up the system that uses autonomous activators to just automatically right-click these crystals onto the light well, the rock crystals onto the light well. There's no harm clicking it when there's already a crystal in, so as soon as the crystal breaks, which you heard the shattering a couple seconds ago, a new one gets placed in. That all feeds into a drum, which collects our liquid starlight, because once we start getting celestial crystals, we're going to need to grow them to perfect stats, and that process consumes a lot of starlight, which is why I have 7 drums constantly making it. And here's the beginning of the system that we'll use to create the perfect crystals. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's let these finish growing first. And to feed our ever-growing need for rock crystals, I just made some rock crystal plants. You'll probably notice this as a trend going forward. If we ever need a resource and there is a mystical agriculture plant available for it, we'll make it, grow them to perfect stats, and then eventually add them to our farm. So once again, this a single harvest, let's see how many we have, 32. So a single harvest gave us 3. Maybe this plant isn't maxed yet. That gave a lot. Anyways, doesn't take much, right? Because each rock crystal ore gives like 10 rock crystals. Hey, and the first of our celestial crystal clusters is done. That took a lot less than half an hour. I think half an hour might be average, but this one is, it beat the average. So again, check the metadata. It says 4, and it throws off these little white particles when it's done. So you just break it, and you get celestial crystal. Now, when you look at it, it has 3 stats: size, purity, and cutting. Purity is the most important stat. If that number were near 100%, I would keep it. But since it isn't, this is effectively a trash crystal, so we'll use it for crafting. And it just so happens that we need, I believe, exactly 1 to craft the iridescent altar. So let's do that. And begin. I do love the crafting animations on this crafting altar. It gets even better once you get the next tier altar. Anyways, so when this is done, this will upgrade our altar, and once again, we will have to upgrade our multi-block. Thankfully, I believe at least, the upgrade from the tier 3 to tier 4 altar is all the blocks that are already down stay in place. We just have to add new ones. Let's confirm that really quick. Yeah, those are where my torches are. So yeah, we just have to add some new blocks to this multi-block, and then we can use our altar. You'll know when you're done when that little blue crystal shows up in the sky. So now you'll see the iridescent altar can handle a lot of starlight, and with the sun just beginning to come up, we don't have a full bar. So let's set it to nighttime again. Even then, I don't expect we'll get a full bar. So we're gonna have to do something to fill up this bar, but let's see. We'll do that once we run into a problem. I think the next thing we have to do before we can craft crystal clusters is some attunement. So if you look at the recipe for the crystal cluster, there's this constellation projected in the background. In order to do this craft, we have to attune a celestial crystal to this constellation, whichever one it is. I don't recall off the top of my head. You can check the book. It's not one of the ones I know, so I guess it's one of the secondary constellations. But to attune stuff, we first need to make the attunement altar. And this is, again, just another pretty simple astral sorcery block, but it requires a massive multi-block around it. So let's craft it. As you can see, the attunement altar's multi-block is pretty big. I swear there's an altar hidden in here. You can just barely see it. But it seems to fit snugly around all of our other stuff, so I may as well place it right here. That said, however, even after we build the multi-block out for this, we still have to do a little bit more before we can use it. So instead of trying to cram all that into today, how about we put that off for tomorrow? Today was kind of a crash course in astral sorcery. We got most of the crafting mechanics of it unlocked, but we haven't really done any of the that's our jetpack running out of power. We haven't really done any real use of features of astral sorcery for anything cool yet. So tomorrow we'll come back, finish up the crafting mechanics, and then we can dive into the meat of astral sorcery, which involves some really cool features. I'm really looking forward to it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.